Go on.
What's going on, everyone? It's Mike. It's John adjusting himself back again, and this is your rumour mill. He's messed his tripod up now. It's excellent. This is your rumour mill. This is an update on what is going on in the news by me and John. We will be doing a special rating show, which will be going live on the Patreon account from the 1st of June. If you want, and remember the word want, to be part of the Patreon, you're more than welcome to. We never expect anything. There will be, you do pay to watch it. However, there will still be regular content on the YouTube channel. You're not going to miss out. It's just we're going to do some special dedicated shows to paying audiences, because if we can expand the income of the channel, we can make it grow. We could do bigger things, better things, more exciting things, and maybe at the end of next season, if there's enough money in the kitty, maybe me and John can host a barbecue somewhere in Liverpool and get some of you guys to come and attend as well. So there is genuine causes for it, genuine reasons why we want to do it, nice reasons why we want to do it, and it all helps the channel. Next season, it's time that this channel went bang in a good way. So, John, how are we, sir?
I'm all right. Listen, it's coming to the exciting part of the close season now, isn't it? The rumours are starting to fly about, and
exciting.
Yeah, I think we're all glad the season's over now. We've got a bit of a break from that. Unfortunately, these people aren't going to get a break from us, because, as Michael says, we want to grow the channel. We don't do enough content. I agree. Michael does more than me. I'm busy, but I am going to do my best, especially if we're going to push on with Patreon, do more special videos for the people who do participate and contribute to the Patreon part of it. So, yeah, we will be back with more content, more regular. So, onto these couple of players having been linked with today. We have been linked with Corinthian striker Wesley Gazova, £25 million, 19-year-old. West Ham are after him, Burnley are after him, Fulham and Palace are after him. Could possibly be a Dominic Calvert-Lewin replacement. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's future at Everton is up in the air, and I think the only reason for that is he's probably got one of our saleable assets, and I think that's what we're going to find with Everton close season, Michael, where some of our saleable assets are linked with moves away. I'm pretty sure in saying it that Calvert-Lewin only has 12 months left on his contract. Now, we don't want to let a striker, because strikers are hard to come by. We know that. Good strikers, decent strikers, Premier League strikers, they are hard to come by, and we don't want to lose them for nothing. So we either offer him a contract extension or we do cash in on him. This could be a player who we possibly are looking at to replace him. I know you've done some homework on the couple of players I did send you. I sent the links to that I'd seen the rumours. What have you found on Wesley Gazova?
Yes, there is a striker that scored 4 goals, according to Wikipedia. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've known this kid's unbelievable trajectory. I'm not an expert in Corinthians football at all, but he's very highly rated. He's highly thought of as well. The Premier League clubs are circling. You always see with players like this, like we've seen with Hendrick, for example, young Brazilians, they end up going to teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, etc., etc., etc. So, maybe he's not seen as highly as that level, but he's clearly seen very well. He's a player that is very capable. I've watched a few videos of him, in the short time that we've been linked with him. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He's pacey. He's not scared of, getting in and out of the challenge. He'll put himself about. I think this is something that won't happen, because I don't think Everton really have got 25 million, whether it be euros, dollars, pounds, even pennies, if I'm being completely frank, to go and lash on any 19-year-old. Yusuf Chamisi was that young striker who was going to be given an opportunity. We got rid of Ellis Sims. We keep Dobbin, but we see him in big parts. It doesn't make sense to me to bring in another young striker right now. It really doesn't. I honestly think the way that if Calvert-Lewin and Beto, because the rumours are Beto may leave as well, if they're both to leave this season, they're going to need a goal scorer who can step in and deliver goals, or at least set up other players within our team, because we don't, as much as we would have finished 12th if we'd have scored the goals that we should have scored or whatever, and get the points that we should have had. The facts are we don't score enough goals from other positions. Decore, I think, was our top goal scorer with 7. I mean, that's not enough. So we do need to see more goals. But do I think this young lad, Wesley Sova, do I think he's the answer? No, probably not. You're going to move on to another player now, John. I know you are. The Benfica central defensive midfielder, Florentino Luis.
Yeah.
He's a player that I actually could see happening. And the reason for that is
we've been linked with him for quite a while. I think we did go in January for him, 24-year-old. Going to cost him.
Apparently we did, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is why this show's called Rumour Mill, because they are just rumours. This isn't nailed on. We haven't heard anything, but, there wouldn't be a show if we weren't looking at these rumours that are flying around. So, as Michael quite rightly says, he's a midfielder from Benfica, Florentino Luis, 24-year-old, apparently 30 million quid. We have been linked with him for a while, and I did see one source today saying we're actually already in discussions for him. Now, is he a replacement for Onana? Possibly. And I know you're saying we haven't got 25 million to spend on Wesley, but when you look at the players who are probably going to be going, Onana, I think that's nailed on, he'll go. Hurts me to say it, I think Branthwaite will go. If we do sell Calvert-Lewin, I can't see all that money going to other things. We do have to have some of that money to spend. So, if we're letting Onana go, the Benfica midfielder could be a replacement for him. Personally, I don't know much about him. I do find the rumours, as I said to you, you're the stat man. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I looked at his stats and his stats this season. So he's played 30 games. He's had 8 yellow cards, no reds, no goals, no assists. Last season he played 33 games, no goals, 3 assists, 5 yellows. He's played in the Europa League this season.
That you've mentioned, he's tenacious by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I mean, he's played in the Europa League. He's played in the Champions League this season. So he's a very capable footballer by all metrics. This is a player that played for the Portugal under-21 team and probably will, make the transition into the full team. He's a player that, from what I've seen, again, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert because it wouldn't be fair on the viewers, but from what I've seen on YouTube videos and just the odd stuff, yeah, I do think there's a player there. I could see it happening. I think someone like Laguisagana guy could maybe, teach him the way of the Premier League. He's got that physical approach, he's got the engine, he's got that drive. So as much as he almost is a replacement for Onana, he may actually be the actual replacement for Laguisagana guy in that period of time. The other thing I wanted to allude to, John, look, I don't know if you remember this particularly, but it broke about 3 weeks ago that Everton were interested in signing Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester and I can't remember how to pronounce his first name, but let's go with Iheanacho. Kalachi Iheanacho. It's something like that.
Yeah.
I got it. Now I do. These are players that are free signings. Now, Ndidi is a player that I'm not going to say is brilliant, but this was a player that at one point was rated about 50-60 million pounds.
I think a player like Ndidi improves the team.
Oh, he does. So I'm interested to see if Everton try and step it up a little bit further. The other one that we haven't been rumoured to be after, but it has surprised me that Aston Villa were in for him, and apparently it was very advanced, and then it's gone silent, and that makes me wonder maybe a certain Mr. Ross Barkley's maybe had other offers as well. I'm not saying he's going to sign for Everton, by the way, because if I was Ross Barkley and you've got Aston Villa Champions League and Everton scraping the barrel, I know where I'd go. But you just don't know, do you? You just don't know.
Well, it's silly season, isn't it? And as I said, this is a rumour mill video, and there's lots and lots of rumours flying around. Quite rightly, what you say there, Ross Barkley apparently was very close to agree in terms of Villa. It's gone very quiet. I know the transfer window's not open, but I think we know from years gone by, the transfer window opening means nothing, because you can still get clubs now signing players on pre-contracts. They can shake on deals. They just don't put that sheet in until the window's open. So if Ross Barkley was that nailed on, that possibly should have happened by now. Again, a player who comes into Everton like a Ross Barkley massively improves us. I know certain fans don't want him. I know certain fans can't forget what he'd done to Everton, used us to get the move to Chelsea. But listen, let bygones be bygones. If there's a chance we can bring Ross Barkley to the football club, he massively improves us. Let bygones be let bygones be bygones and welcome him, or not welcome him, just, be happy with a signing of that quality. Because he is quality,
He is. And the other thing that gets me as well, and again, you might not agree with this, John, but there seems to be all of a sudden this manager merry-go-round in the Premier League. There's rumours that Eric Ten Hag might not be at Manchester United come the first game of the season. Mauricio Pochettino, I mean, both me and you praised Chelsea for how he sort of had this weird sort of mashed up team of expensive players. Looked awful at the start of the season, and he's managed to mould them into a team that I think on the last 19 games of the season would have finished in the Champions League spot. So I find that mad, especially when they're being linked with managers like Kieran McKenna, who, no disrespect,
he's refused to sign another contract as well.
Yeah, so it just seems a bit odd. And then you've got De Zerbi, who looks like, I think it might be Bayern Munich, but there's rumours it could be Man United. Somebody's paid out a buyout clause for him, apparently. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. So all of a sudden, there's lots of clubs that can't really make transfer decisions or can't be 100% with the manager's decisions, the director of football and the manager talking. That can't happen because some of them just aren't in place. On top of the fact, there is a Euros, which always makes it more complicated to go and sign the best players because, they're playing in Europe or they're doing the competitions or whatever. It's something a bit weird about this transfer window. And we've only finished the season 4 days ago.
It's not just player transfer silly season. It seems to be manager transfer silly season. Apparently, Tuchel's not going to go back to Chelsea. You've got David Moyes out of a job. West Ham haven't officially announced their new manager. As you quite rightly say, Tottenham are without a manager. Brighton are without a manager. So it leaves these clubs scrambling later on in the transfer window to get their targets in because, as you quite rightly say, a lot of these clubs are going to start looking at the Euros for players. So they're starting late. So I think the likes of clubs like Everton, Liverpool have got slot in early, obviously Pep. These clubs who have got their managers in place now can start their business early and have it ready for when the transfer window opens, which can only be a good thing for certain teams.
But it also works the other way, John, because, for example, Aston Villa's manager, Unai Emery, he's a manager that I have no doubt is probably getting attention from some very top teams, and that's not a dig at Villa at all, by the way. Villa are a top team, a very good side, and I've got a lot of time for the fans. But are they a Manchester United? Probably not. Are they a Chelsea or have an owner? They probably do have an owner that's similar to Chelsea's owner, but they're probably better managed. But this owner will literally spend millions of billions of pounds on doing whatever he likes.
Yeah,
that's got to be attractive to certain people. So I think Villa could be under pressure at some point with their manager. And then
Unai Emery just signed a contract. I know contracts mean nothing. I know that.
It does. And the other manager that's getting a lot of talk about is, and I have mentioned him on this channel when we were talking about Sean Dyche maybe being sacked at Everton. What a conversation that was. I think his name's Hones, who's the Stuttgart manager, who has done an incredible job in Germany. You know, everyone's gone on about Xabi Alonso, but Stuttgart have finished second above Bayern Munich. So when you really sit there like that, you think there's a lot of movement in Premier League for managers, players potentially. Nobody's spent any money in January. I do find it really interesting. I really, really do. And, you know, you also didn't mention a certain Everton player today that won, you know, yet again, I think it was the player of the season, which was Jordan Pickford.
I had it.
Rumours are that Ramsdale's available for £15 million.
Yeah.
Now, if we lost Pickford, would you not be tempted to do that?
See, I think João Virginia, when he's played for Everton, hasn't let us down at all.
No, he hasn't.
So I think when you look at some of the players who we're going to be losing and the financial situation we're in, every penny counts. If Pickford does go, then obviously we will have to look at someone, because I think Andy Lonergan's gone now as well, which is obviously, you know, he could have stepped in if he had to. I think he's made 1-2 appearances in something like 3 years. But I have no problem with João Virginia being our number one goalkeeper. But I mean, I hope Pickford doesn't go. You know, he's got player of the season.
3 times in a row.
Pickford, that's 3 times in a row. He's got that now. Another one I want to mention is Branthwaite got the player of the season.
Yeah.
And young player.
Metcalf.
What have I wrote down there?
Young player was Jared again.
Yeah, the young player was Jared, and the player of the season was Branthwaite as well. So he got 2 awards, Branthwaite. Now that speaks volumes for me.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Listen, this kid, for me, has been the best centre-half in the Premier League this season by a country mile, in my opinion. You know, he had a bit of a shaky game against Chelsea, but listen, we'll allow him that. He's had an England call-up in the provisional squad for the Euros, personally. I think he should be going to the Euros. Obviously puts him in the shop window. That puts his value up even more. So, for me, I do think we lose Branthwaite, but I think the awards that were given, I think it speaks volumes for certain players when we've had to get our shit together this season. They've pulled out all the stops. Pickford's had some fantastic games this season. He's won 2, 3, 4 games for us. He's won us 3 points on numerous occasions. Branthwaite's been solid every week apart from the Chelsea game. Calvert-Lewin got goal of the season against Liverpool. Do think we've scored better goals than that personally, but I think it was probably because it was against them that he's been given that. So that takes me nicely onto Branthwaite. Everton have apparently put an £80 million price tag on his head. Personally, I think he's worth more because Harry Maguire was worth 80 million. So I do think Branthwaite's worth more than 80 million. The problem Everton have, Michael, and I've said this on this channel, I've said it to you as well, we're not in a position to have an auction for Jared Branthwaite where we push and push and push and push to get big money for him. I actually think if it is 80 million we get for him, I do think it'll be something like 65 million up front, £15 million add-ons. The financial situation Everton are in, we can't reject 70 million off Man United, reject 80 million off a Real Madrid or a Man City, hoping Man United come back with more. We're not in a position to do that. That's why, personally, I don't think we actually get the money what Jared Branthwaite is worth.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just hope it's difficult, really, but I almost hope that somebody can do something that sort of keeps the Wolves at bay, sort of thing. And you know, I almost wish that there's some way we could keep him. I really do. I get what you're saying, and look, I don't expect him to be here either, and I don't. And I'd love Everton to hold out for as most money as they possibly can. But again, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree.
I don't think he'll push for the move. I don't think he's the sort of lad to push for the move. I don't think he'll push for it. I think it will be taken out of his hands.
Yeah, there's also a 15% clause in the Carlisle deal as well. So not just Everton, but Carlisle are probably financially safe for years and years to come. I mean, the owner of Carlisle is probably going to be buzzing, to be honest, because you're talking. I mean, even if it's 60 million, that's £9 million, which is going to Carlisle, which probably covers their wages for 10, 20 years, whatever it is. So credit to them as well. And there's actually I think it was four Carlisle Youth Academy players in the England team for the Euros. I mean, that speaks volumes of Carlisle, and credit to all of them involved there.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes of their academy, doesn't it? And their youth setup when they've brought them through, and obviously the staff there have got an eye for a player, and we've seen that with Brighton as well. Brighton have bought players for next to nothing or brought them through the academies, and it worries me when you're even looking at the likes of Carlisle and Brighton. No disrespect to Brighton or Carlisle, when Everton haven't got players like that coming through, and you've got Sean Dyche, and I've mentioned on here saying we've had to play the way we've played with the squad that we've got because we haven't got anything coming through from the academy. Now, years ago, Everton used to have one of the best academies in the country, if not the world.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney's come through. We had players like Tony Grant. We had players like Billy Kenny, who ruined himself.
At the time.
Anthony Gordon, I think, was at the academy as well. So I just think we need to look at our academy now, Michael, because a lot of clubs do make money from bringing youth through and selling their players for big money. We don't do that. If you look at our friends over the park, Connor Bradley, he's come through their ranks. Trent Alexander-Arnold come through their ranks. We don't have that. And I think whoever comes into the club as the new owners needs to go from the top to the bottom, looking at the setups from the youth side to the under-23 side to the first team. And listen, we have to start getting it right at this football club.
I've got one for Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this, and you're spot on with what you're saying. Everton are actually recruiting for an academy recruitment and loans analyst. So it's very obvious that they need to improve that area, and they're looking at it. John, I want to mention one last thing. I know you've got your notepad, so I really appreciate it. But one of the things that I wanted to mention was the fact that all of the stuff around 777, all the lawsuits, all the consistent rumours on Twitch, or on Twitter, all of the stuff that we've been reading, it's all gone silent.
I think the reason behind that, Michael, is because we all know the date, which is the 30th of May. Mashiri's not going to extend that. Something will happen before the 30th of May, whether it's good news for us fans that we don't want them, or if they've got in by some strange way, shape or form, because I can't see them being the new owners of Everton Football Club. He's put a date on, as I say, for the 30th of May. That's the deadline in Mashiri's eyes. I know he's extending it. I don't think he'll do it again. I think that's probably why I'm quiet.
Yeah, agreed. Well, John, I've got nothing else.
Two more things. Ashley Young's being offered a 1-year contract. Listening to him on Talk Sport the other day, he wants 2 years.
Does that?
So he's being offered a 1-year contract. He hasn't signed it, but he's looking for a 2-year contract. Would you give him 1 year? No.
Heard that answers your question quite convincingly.
One more, Seamus Coleman. We've seen the interview we done after the Arsenal game. He's been offered a 1-year contract. Hasn't signed it. Wants to go away. Think about it. Said this on the channel. I think in his contract it will also be to nurture some of our younger right backs at the club, i.e. a Nathan Patterson. I think Seamus Coleman. I think Sean Dyche knows Seamus Coleman's not going to play every week, week in, week out. We know that. So that's probably why he's being offered this contract to help Patterson to get better. Because in my opinion, I haven't seen enough from Nathan Patterson to tell me he's a Premier League player.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I was shaking my head. I was joking. Look, I would have given Coleman another 1-year deal. I actually think against Arsenal, it was abundantly obvious he's still capable of playing at a top level. because I thought Coleman was really good against Arsenal. And whereas Ashley Young on the other side, the ball he plays for their second goal is an absolute joke. Like I don't know what he was looking at, you know, and you know,
that was the problem. I don't think he looked. I think he just hit it up.
Yeah, it's one of them balls me and you play on FIFA, but it's just aimless and goes to them, and we can't do anything about it because we can't with headers because we're shit at the game. It was one of them. Coleman, I'm fine with. I'm on the fence with Patterson, just like you are. And the reason I'm on the fence, again, I've said this to you, is I thought Mikalenko was a championship left back. And he's completely changed my opinion. Yes, he can't go forward, but by God, he's a good defender.
Yeah.
And I need to understand what Nathan Patterson is, because at the minute he's not a good defender and he's not good going forward. Now, he's got the perfect mentor in Seamus Coleman, who was fairly solid at the back, but very good going forward.
He's had quite a few injuries as well, Nathan. Unfortunately, he's out of the Euro squad for Scotland with this hamstring injuries he's got, so he hasn't had a good end to the season, you know, at Everton or with Scotland. If he can get himself fit for next season, get himself fit for pre-season, have a strong pre-season, I think next season's make or break for Nathan Patterson, in my opinion. If he doesn't do it next season, if he's fully fit and still doesn't consistently play for Everton and show us he's improved, then I think it is going to be a big season for Patterson, in my opinion.
And one last thing I want to mention, John. Ademola Lookman has scored in the Europa League final tonight.
Lookman scores wherever he goes. He's just not consistent with it. I had no problem with Ademola Lookman at Everton, by the way. I thought he was better than a lot of the players we had. But when you look at the clubs he's been at, Michael, he's been at Everton. He went to another Premier League team. I can't think of it was. Leicester. Now he's playing for Atalanta. You know, he moves around a bit. Ademola Lookman, you know, is he one of these players who's starts off well, goes poor in training, doesn't get picked, have the odd good game here and there? He comes across like he's not consistent enough to nail down a place week in, week out at one club.
Yeah, his value is the highest it's ever been at £30 million.
Yeah. That's all well and good, and he might move, but then I wonder what he'll do with the club that he goes to, because he always starts well. He's done well at Everton, and he comes off the boil. Then it's as if Ademola Lookman comes across to me like he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Feels like he's made it because he's this young. Well, he's not as young now, but he was young when he come to Everton with all that money. I feel like he's one of them players. I might be completely wrong. If I am, you know, I'll take my hat off. But he just comes across like he feels like he's made it with all this money and the clubs that he's played for. And again, he just needs to settle somewhere, Ademola Lookman, and prove me wrong. Prove probably a lot of people wrong that he has got something there and he can do it consistently.
John, I've got nothing else, mate.
I'm done.
All good, guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We will be doing these not daily, but every couple of days, every few days, when there's a bit of a build-up of rumours. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. More information on the Patreon will be coming soon. So if you want to get involved in that, you can. There's literally no hard feelings if you don't. There's the content is not changing on this channel. I want you to know that we're not all of a sudden starting to want to make money out of everyone. That's not the case. We just want to try and make a little bit more money so we can actually take the channel a bit further forward and maybe spice it up a little bit. John's waiting there with a green screen. He wants a proper tripod because, as you say, he looks like he's got droopy tits, and you don't want that anymore, do you? There we go. That's better. No more titties from John. Guys, hit the like and subscribe button. See you soon.